How many more generations of America's daughters and sons would you have me send to fight Afghanistan's civil war when Afghan troops will not? How many more lives, American lives, is it worth? How many endless rows of headstones at Arlington National Cemetery? I'm clear on my answer. I will not repeat the mistakes we've made in the past.
A speech which might not have seemed out of place from his predecessor, but which sounded cold coming from Joe Biden to international ears, as the world adjusts to the disintegration of Afghanistan.
I think the buck stops with President Biden. There's no doubt about it. He is the man in the White House. He's in charge. As much as much of this, to provide context, goes back to even Obama years, and then much of it in the Trump years, sort of these ending endless wars. But the president, President Joe Biden, is ultimately responsible for what has transpired. And I think the biggest criticism would be the manner in which the withdrawal was phased out and the manner in which there was no contingency plan for the fall of Kabul.
Leaving Afghanistan has long been a goal of successive American administrations.
Americans don't want their sons and daughters on Iraqi, Syrian, or Afghan soil. The manner in which this has unfolded, no, I don't think any American watching their television sets is happy to see this chaos, or Afghans in desperate Afghans latching on to landing gears and then falling off the sky.
Some analysts believe US actions reflect a decision to prioritize the domestic over the international.
He calculates that though the elites in Washington feel very ashamed about this, as do our own elites in Britain, the fact is the American public don't care very much. And he wants to get all this bad news out of the way now, before the midterm elections in November next year, and before he begins the run-in to his re-election campaign for 2024.
America have set out their position. They seem to be saying this is the end of being the global policeman, certainly in an Afghan context. But what about the other large powers? Russia and China take a very different position on this. Does this leave a void which they may step into?
All the autocrats in the world and a lot of the uncommitted peoples in the world will conclude that the Western powers talk a good game, but they don't have the strategic patience to hang in there for a long period. What this disaster for the West does geopolitically is create a vacuum in both Afghanistan and in Pakistan, which China and Russia will now fill. And that will be quite hard for Western powers to push against. And India, I think, will be much more aggressive because of it. I think we may be looking at a far greater instability in the Indian Ocean in the next 2 or 3 years as a result of what has actually happened in Afghanistan.
Is there talk of expanding the perimeter around the airport?
Right now, the airfield, like I said earlier, is secure.
At the Pentagon today, state officials and military commanders scrambled to answer questions which continue to flood in about America's responsibilities to this troubled country. Rosie Laydon, Forces News. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.